Evening, friends. Taking a look tonight at Matthew 7:23, workbook 2310, one of the longer sections. Thought it might be interesting to go through. Okay, the first thing we have right off the bat, nominative, masculine, plural, right? Much or many. So if it's nominative, masculine, and plural, and the word means much or many, the question you would ask is much or many what? So probably people, could be people. We're going to have to take a look at context to see how that sort of works out. Erusin. Okay, what are we dealing with here? Looks like a verb, but what tense is it? Well, here's one of those situations where we have a verbal root that comes down into the stems and makes things look a little bit different. I hope you can see that okay. We have a verbal root that comes down, and what we have here is the verbal root is something like R or whatever, but it comes down into the present tense as Lego. Really what we have here is a situation where different roots are coming down and forming these different parts of the pattern, because what happens in the future is you have arrow. What's the relationship between these two? Well, if it's different roots, we have some root over here that comes into Lego and some other root from left field that comes in to form the future. What about the aorist? Is it going to be a first or a second aorist? Can you predict it? At this point, you can't even really predict it because, and I'll show you here in a second, apon. Okay, what's the relationship between all these three? Well, even if there is one, and I'm sure that the textbook might suggest some pattern that's out there in the ether that connects all these things. I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But how do you how do you deal with that? Because what's going to happen is there's going to be another word, iro, that's a little bit more regular. It's going to be aro, aro in the future, and ara in the aorist. So this is much more regular, but what we have here is we only have one letter difference. The difference between saying, I will say, and I will lift up. Okay, so there's a difference there. We have to remember there's these different patterns. The root's not modified in the present stem. That's pattern one. Different roots. Those are the ones that just give us fits. Erkamai, Eliusamai, Aelthon. That's another one. Liquid futures, where we're dealing with a stem that ends in lambda, mu, nu, or rho. And then the ones that we like that are regular. How we deal with it is something like this. Vocabulary card. On the reverse side, it does get a little bit busy. Okay? You have the definition at the top, the imperfect, the future, the aorist. This will be the perfect, which we haven't gotten to yet. Perfect middle passive and aorist passive. Just to help you manage the differences. So when you see Lego, the thing that you have to do is think, okay, how does it come down, or what are you can call them principal parts, you can call them tense stems, but it's the same thing. All we're doing is we have to go through and know Lego, arrow, apon, ereka, eremai, erethane. For those that are really irregular, there's just I suppose there are other ways to do it, but this is the best way. So get your cards out and keep working on those. Okay, so now we can look at this again, and we can see erusin starts with an epsilon. It's going to be a contract, because it ends in it's a liquid. Lambda, mu, nu, rho. There you go. It's a liquid. This is also going to help us identify it as a future tense, future, active, indicative, third person plural. This is dative singular, preposition, which brings on the old prepositional phrase right here. Ekene. On the last quiz, you guys missed this quite a bit. What does ekene mean? It's the far demonstrative. So instead of this dog that is under my feet, I'm talking about that dog that is over in the house. So that. Something important to remember. The article, the dative singular article. Hemera is a noun, means day. Okay, we got a pause marker here. So many will say to me in that day. This is evocative. It looks like kurios, right? Notice the epsilon on the end. Vocatives aren't super common, but Lord, Lord. Now we know the passage, and we have to fight the tendency when we know something or we've read it before in English, we have to fight the tendency to remember the English. Think Greek. Lord, Lord. U is not. Article, dative singular article. This word here, sas se san, it's basically kind of a your idea. It's in a footnote in the workbook. Not in your name. Look at that guy. Okay, what are we going to deal with here? This is an aorist tense. You'll notice on the back, samen. Okay, that's how we know there's the aorist tense formative plus the primary endings. Secondary. Yeah, primary endings. O, ace, a, amen, et, usin. Okay, so the way that I remember it is sa, sa, sen, samen, sata, san. That's the way that I remember it. So I put all this together and remember the endings that way. Augment on the front, aorist, active, indicative, first person plural, from prophetuo, to prophesy. So not in your name we prophesied, comma, Kai, and same thing. Look how it just repeats itself. In your name, demons exabalamen. Okay, we have a preposition on the front of a verb. See the augment here? What happened to the stem? This is balo, right? The stem in the present tense comes down like this. So we know we're dealing with a second aorist. We have the augment, the tense stem, or the stem shifts here. Amen, first person plural. So it's an aorist, active, indicative, first person plural. And in your name, dunamis is power, powers, many, epoisamen, okay? Poieo, look at the question mark. Poieo is to do. Okay, now it looks right. Poieo takes an augment on the front, samen on the back, aorist, active, indicative, first person plural. If you look at a couple translations, you'll see balo or ekbalo translated as drive out, cast out, or expel. Which one's right? Can you imagine, some people in church coming up and saying, "Hey, I've got this translation here, and it's the right one, and I've got this translation here, and it must be wrong because the right one says drive out, the wrong one says expel." How do you manage that? Well, that's part of the semantic range, and you can go back there and you can say, well, ek means out or away from. Balo means to throw, cast, put, place. There's a lot of things that it could mean. So you can help people navigate the differences in translations by knowing a little bit of Greek. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? And in your name, did we not cast out demons? And in your name, many miracles we did? Question mark. Let's look at the next part. Okay, just carrying on here. The next little section, Kai, and, tate, then, homologeso. The vowel often lengthens here. Homologeo becomes homologeso by the addition of the future tense formative. No augment, otherwise this would do something strange. Autois, a pronoun, dative, plural, okay? And then, I will say to them, hate here is introducing direct discourse. So this can be left untranslated because it's introducing what he's going to say to them. Udipate is never, egnon humas, another pronoun, accusative case pronoun, plural. Egnon, okay, what do we see here in the middle? We see egno from ginosko. Remember how that works out there? Second aorist, because we have the secondary ending, augment on the front, change in the stem. Okay? aorist, active indicative, first person singular. Never I knew you. Have a great weekend.